Pointless, random, absurd, superfluous, and slapdash facts.
How goes it? Welcome to this fortuitous show of irregular incidentals. The 1937 book, by Zora Neale Hurston, Their Eyes Were Watching God, opened with the line, "Ships, at a distance, have every man's wish, on board."
That's a highly recommended book. The Roman philosopher and lawyer, Marcus Tullius Cicero, who lived from 107 to 43 BC, had said, "A room without books is like a body without a soul." Jacques-Anatole François Thibault, the French poet, journalist, and novelist, said, "La majestueuse égalité des lois qui interdit aux riches comme aux pauvres de coucher sous les ponts, de mendier dans les rues et de voler du pain." That translates to, the law, in its majestic equality, forbids the rich as well as the poor to sleep under bridges, to beg in the streets, and to steal bread.
True, but you know what Voltaire said, a witty saying proves nothing. After all, Mitch Hedberg said, "I find that a duck's opinion of me is very much influenced over whether or not I have bread."
It's just like Studs Terkel said. I like quoting Einstein. Know why? Because nobody dares contradict you.
In 1929, when Hubble demonstrated that the universe is expanding, Einstein admitted his intuition led him astray, and said that he had made what was, and I quote, his biggest mistake. After he had introduced a cosmological constant into his equations to freeze the state of the universe, so his calculations would remain in accordance with his erroneous idea of a static universe. Basically, his numbers were telling him the universe was expanding, so he mathematically calculated a formula to eradicate that deviation, to confirm his own bias.
Great job, Einstein!
According to the top definition for Einstein on UrbanDictionary.com, you could conclude, ironically, his name is used as a derogatory term for persons who proclaim something obvious or who do something especially stupid, more often than not.
I have thought about it an awful lot. You know, I am pretty sure that E actually is equal to MC cubed. I'm just playing. I know he got that right. Well, I don't doubt it, really.
It was Arthur Guiterman who said, "Admitting error clears the score and proves you wiser than before."
In 1906, in The Life of Reason, Volume 5, Reason and Science, George Santayana said, "Almost every wise saying has an opposite one, no less wise, to balance it."
As 18-time All-Star Yogi Berra so poetically put it, "I never said most of the things I said."
In an interview by Rodger Ebert in the March 7, 1972, Esquire magazine, Groucho Marx said, "I got $25 from Reader's Digest last week for something I never said. I get credit all the time for things I never said."
As Isaac Disraeli said in Curiosities of Literature, one may quote till one compiles.
According to Nigel Rees, in the 2002 book called Mark My Words, Great Quotations and the Stories Behind Them, Laurence J. Peter had quoted W.I.E. Gates in the book Quotations for Our Time from 1977 when he said, quote, "Stronger than an army is a quotation whose time has come, and which is true."
Brilliant. In The Glass Box and the Commonplace Book, Hearst New Media lecture from the 22nd of April 2010, Stephen Berlin Johnson said, "Just about anyone with intellectual ambition in the 17th and 18th centuries was likely to keep a commonplace book. In its most customary form, commonplacing, as it was called, involved transcribing interesting or inspirational passages from one's reading, assembling a personalized encyclopedia of quotations. The great minds of the period, Milton, Bacon, Locke, were zealous believers in the memory-enhancing powers of the commonplace book. There is a distinct self-help quality to the early descriptions of commonplacing's virtues. In the words of one advocate, maintaining the books enabled one to lay up a fund of knowledge, from which we may at all times select what is useful in the several pursuits of life."
In the book, Oxford Essential Quotations, from 2012, editor Susan Ratcliffe cited Graham Greene's book, The Portable Graham Greene, when he said, and I quote, "People who like quotations love meaningless generalizations."
Je ne cite les autres que pour mieux exprimer ma pensée. That means, I quote others only the better to express myself. It is a variation of a quote from the 1575 of The Education of Children, where Michel de Montaigne said, "Je ne dis les autres, sinon pour d'autant plus me dire." I do not speak the minds of others except to speak my own mind better.
Zig Ziglar advised to always give your references. That way, if you have said something that turns out to be incorrect, you can point back to the source and say that they should have known better.
True, indeed. In 1878, Mr. Dean Bergen quoted Martin Joseph Routh in a memoir of Dr. Routh in the Quarterly Review, when he said, "You will find it a very good practice, always to verify your references, sir."
The definition of dictionary can be found in the dictionary.
Fascinating. The scientific term for brain freeze is sphenopalatine ganglioneuralgia.
That is a good word.
King Solomon said, "A word well spoken is like apples of gold in a silver dish."
True, true, true. That's Proverbs 25 verse 11.
Totally. Dude.
Solomon, the second king of Israel, who lived 990 to 931 BC, also said whoever walks with the wise will become wise. But the companion of fools suffers harm. That's Proverbs 13 verse 20.
I Pity the Fool was originally a soul blues song. It was originally recorded by Bobby Bland in 1961 for his first Duke Records album, named Two Steps from the Blues.
As Edward Young said, in his classic poem Love of Fame, The Universal Passion, in 7 characteristical satires, Satire 1, and I quote, "Some, for renown, on scraps of learning dote, and think they grow immortal as they quote. To patchwork learned quotations are allied, both strive to make our poverty our pride. On glass how witty is a noble peer, did ever diamond cost a man so dear? Polite diseases make some idiots vain, which, if unfortunately well, they feign. On deathbeds some in conscious glory lie, since of the doctor in the mode they die, whose wondrous skill is, headsmen like to know, for better pay to give a surer blow."
Fascinating. Much like Sir Henry Wotton said in the preface to The Elements of Architecture, "I am but a gatherer and disposer of other men's stuff."
In the translation of Seneca the Younger's Moral Letters, it reads, "Whatever is well said by anyone is mine."